Wait, okay.
Let's go. Okay.
Okay, welcome to the Lev HaTorah version of Hot Ones. I'm Michael Glazer, Sean Olive.
Eli Cohen, Shabbat.
And Yaakov Beasley on the staff. Teach a little Tanach here.
We're very honored to have Rabbi Beasley here today with us. Okay, so here, let's get our first wing ready. Here, just choose a wing, whatever.
I believe this one.
Okay, we'll split one.
Yeah. Good choice.
So just say bracha for all the wings. Bracha
We need the hot sauce.
bro.
That's a little tough.
Chipotle,
Okay.
Amazon.
All right, this one's not that bad. It tastes good. It's like kind of barbecue-y.
Yeah.
Ooh, barbecue is like maple syrup for meat.
Well, that's because you're Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm being lectured by children on how to eat chicken wings.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Oh, just wait.
Cheers.
Skull. Ooh. Does taste like barbecue. That's flavor to it.
You got a little in the back of the throat now.
All right.
How do you feel you're going to do with this, by the way?
Based
Your
off
spice
the
tolerance?
Puerile attempts to intimidate me will not work, Mr. Glazer.
I'm going to start with a question about your career a little bit. You describe your relationship with Tanach and your history and your study and your deep love for Tanach as a lifelong love affair. So what sparked this deep passion, and how has it evolved throughout your academic and teaching career?
Lifelong love affair?
Exactly.
I wish I had thought of that myself. Okay. You look at the world around you, and there's so many exciting and wonderful things that the world creates. That God created an incredible world. And then you get to university, and you're like, okay, what do I do, and what do I want to do, and what do I choose to do? And since you only live once, you really have this, can make a mistake of saying, okay, I'm going to spend 40 years doing something I don't enjoy, and it doesn't inspire me. I was very fortunate to have had a bad Gemara year in my second year in Yeshiva University.
Fortunate.
Very fortunate. No, I'm not being facetious. Person was a wonderful person, but the shir was just did not speak to me. Meanwhile, I was enjoying the deeper understandings of these stories, and specifically the fact that there are deeper understandings. You read these stories as 5-year-olds, you read these stories as 10-year-olds, but then you get to approach them on a more mature and erudite level. You start to realize the actual depth and profundity that these great stories contain. And I just kept getting more and more and more and more into the study of Tanakh, into the master of Tanakh, and I had great teachers in Yeshiva University. I had great teachers in high school too, but once you're really focusing on just mastering Tanakh and seeing new ideas, coming to Israel, being exposed to the new style of Tanakh study was blooming out of Gush Etzion. My teacher, Rabbi Nahum, Liebtag, although we never met, but he is just starting to put out his parsha sheets, and ideas are starting to come together, and I was going to classes with this Tanakh teacher, and slowly developing my own. And this became the beginning of this lifelong affair. And let me put it like this. There's a wonderful vort we heard. Why don't, outside of Israel, Ashkenazim say a shechianu at a wedding? You should say shechianu at the wedding. It makes more sense. You say, it's a beautiful thing. I'm glad to be here, So I heard from one of the Rami men merits, when you buy a new car, you say a shechan. You get a new suit, you say a shechianu. But the car starts to get old and it wears down and it's not as attractive as it used to be. And the new suit, it looks nice the first time, but the creases start to fade and the shine and the veneer comes off. You don't want to say that about your wedding bed. But rather you keep finding new things in this. When are you going to say shechi? When do you think you're going to reach your high point? The high point is still to come. And the same thing with the Tanakh study as well. There's still more stuff to learn. There's always new ideas being given. And it's just an incredible, incredible journey. And I've been privileged to be able to share some of my own ideas in different forms, books, articles, and of course, mostly here at Lev HaTorah, which I'm very thankful for.
Fair. Yeah, let's move on.
All right.
Grab the
Whoa.
green Amazon.
Let's show the camera.
That's all right.
Okay, Rob.
That's a lot of sauce.
I'm not. I'm just going to be reasonable.
Shall we?
Okay, let's see. This one's, I'm expecting to be a little bit tangy.
What's it called?
Green Amazon.
Pinkati.
Let's see. It's a 2.
Made
it's a
of
2
carrots.
spice.
Okay.
Ready? 3, 2.
That's better.
Do you like that more? I feel like.
I just don't like barbecue sauce.
Oh, well.
It's because he's Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're finishing that off, we're going to get right into question 2. Your name has a unique story. Switching to spelling with a vav after a deal with a friend who looked up its Torah spelling. What was the story and what does it say about your relationship with Torah study and your outlook on tradition and individuality?
My name is Yaakov, and I spell Yaakov Yud Ayin Kuf Vav Bet with a Vav, which is very, very rare. And the reason for that is not what my parents named me. I don't think my parents had any intention for it. But in grade 10, I had a tendency to get very bored in class, and some people managed to use that tendency of mine to get me to do favors for them, i.e. their reports or their... Because I'd finished my work and I'd be sitting there doing nothing. Can you help me out with this? Sure, not a problem. And one time, a lovely young lady named Susan came up to me and said, if you help me with my book report, did you read the book? I go, yes. And then she said, I haven't read yet. The book report's due tomorrow. Can you please do this, help me with this book report? And I said, sure, not a problem. She goes, if you do it, I'll give you a kippah. I'm like, so excited. I'm gonna get a kippah from,
That's the kippah you're right now.
And so I thought, okay, fine, I'll do the book report, get the kippah. I did the book report, and the kippah didn't get it.
What?
6 months later, I get this little package in the mail, little envelope, and there's this nice kippah in it, little small thing, but it said Yaakov, and she spells it with a vav, and I said, well, I have a choice. Do I send it back and tell her she spelled it wrong and do it over again? Or do I simply not embarrass her and, spell it with a vav? So if given a choice between embarrassing somebody and just changing the way your name spells, I think the choice is obvious. It's basic human sensitivity.
Wow.
So I've been spelling with a vav ever since. Wow. And on my ketubah I wrote with a vav. And in fact, when my first son got married, so I signed it with a vav, and Rav Rimon, who is the Rav Rashi of Gush Etzion, had seen the ketubah before, and he goes, "You're spelling. What is this?" I made sure it's with a vav. I'm like filling it in. He goes, "You can't do that. That's not the way you spell it." I go, "I look at anything. I showed him my 8-year-old driver's license might do. That's it. I always spell. I've been spelling with a vav. My entire life. Everybody knows it's Yaakov with a vav." So he wrote some little note. He put like a little star and asterisk, but it was like But I spell Yaakov with a vav for that reason. What does that say about tradition and? We come from a tradition. It says people's feelings matter, and we have to develop a sense of sensitivity towards that. And I'm not going to embarrass a person over a perfect acceptable name. And the fun part, of course, about the name is there's a little medrash on the vav that this is the sign of geula. That the Yaakov took 5 vavs from Eliyahu, and he's going to give them back. So every rabbi worth their salt, when they see my name spelled, they have to give me a drasha. I get a whole pile of drasha just on my name that most people don't get.
Okay.
We're gonna
Moving on.
move forward.
We got so many sauces to try. All right, this one also is just a 2, but I think it's gonna be better. This time, I remember last time was a little bit spicier, so we'll see whether Rob likes it.
Cheers.
Oh, that's not bad. This is pretending to be spicy.
He says that, and I can feel the kick in the back of my throat.
This one's not bad, but it's definitely more.
Definitely got some kick to it.
It's more hot pepper. It's more hot pepper than the other one had a more interesting bouquet of flavors in it.
Growing up in Oakville with minimal Jewish knowledge, you become one of the definite contributors to the Koren Tanakh series. Your works on the minor prophets include Nahum, Habakkuk, and Zephaniah, Lights in the Valley, and Yoel, Obadiah, and Micah, Facing the Storm. These shed light on overlooked texts. What drew you to these specific prophets, and what contemporary lessons can we glean from these messages? Actually, these books are amazing. I didn't read them yet, but I'm very excited to, and it's a shameless plug for Rob. So.
Thank you for the shamelessness. Okay. Have you read them?
No, but the next...
Then you should be ashamed. Okay.
I'm excited for Trey, so.
In general, Navi, the study of prophets, is really very overlooked because we don't get time for it. We all want to learn everything, but your average day school will spend 2 hours, 2.5 hours on Jewish studies at most, and you have to go through Torah, and you have to go through Torah Sheba'al Peh, and you have to go through questions of Jewish belief, and you have to go through halacha, and there's so much to do, and it sort of just falls off.
Right.
And it's not a new problem. It's not a contemporary problem. It's been a problem in yeshivot for hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, even if you say, well, look, Rashi at the time was studying Tanach and Radak studying Tanach, but even Then the majority of the time was focused, and that was a small percentage of the population. But we live in Eretz Israel now. We live in the land of Israel. We live in the land, and that's meant two things, which means that these books were written in the land of Israel and directed to a people, not a group of individuals, but a people living in the land of Israel, now contain the relevance is returned. These are books written for a population, a community that was trying to deal with questions of what is social justice, how is social justice attained, how does one interact with the neighbors, what should our relation with our neighbors be. Nahum deals with a very, very deep question which we've been feeling all the past year. Should we be rejoicing when we see the absolute havoc and destruction that we have visited, rightfully so, on Gaza and in the north? So what should our religious reaction be? Micah talks about the dangers of relying too much on our own physical might. Okay, we have a tendency sometimes to even glorify the IDF, and I'm not saying this in a denegatory way. We are very proud of everything. I have 5 boys serving. But that means that we then have to say, okay, so what should our attitude towards these things be? Again, social justice. These are questions. Micha, what does it mean to be a mensch? Yol, how does one respond in time of tragedy? And these prophets' messages suddenly ring out again, and they're important. And we have to start bringing them back into the conversation. It's, to me, a very fortunate, very thankful to Rabbi Ronnie Ziegler, who's the head of the Maggid Press, who invited me to give to submit at least ideas. This was 10 years ago when I first started writing Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, and then to allow me to continue with Joel, Obadiah, and Micah to express a voice, to share ideas. When I went to Toronto in the last summer, I would go to every other year to see my mother, to see how she's doing, see my family. But all of a sudden, when you start talking about what does God want of us, now the community, people are interested in, to find that the perspectives that these prophets provide is actually something that's really unique and very necessary for us to cope with the situation that we live in. So again, these specific prophets, every one of the 15 prophets has a message, but we have to start taking ourselves seriously. Every book of the Tanakh has a message. We have to start planning. Well, what does it mean, and what does Eov teach me? What do Mishlei teach me? What does Divrei Yamim teach me? All these books, and we have to go beyond this simple and again almost childish. The brothers in Yaakov and Yosef had a fight because they were jealous, and jealousy is bad. Jealousy is bad, but there was much deeper issues at hand, and deeper readings of the text and a broader reading of the text will help us arrive, I think, at correct answers. And I come back to that point I said at the beginning: the Torah was given to the people, Am Yisrael. It was not given to a bunch of individuals, each one in their own separate ghetto or shtetl, or where just let me put on my tefillin and leave me alone. It was given to people who have a sense of responsibility, of a shared fate and a shared destiny. To use Rav Soloveitchik's famous description.
Of course. Well, for sure. That sauce wasn't bad. You walked right through that. What was that?
The sauce gets me thinking. It's good.
Okay, good.
We'll take
All
it.
right. Well, let's see how this goes for you. Habanero sauce. Let's see.
Habanero?
Habanero.
Amazon.
What is it? How many peppers is it?
This is 3.
Is this the first 3 pepper?
I think this is the
This is
first.
the first 3 pepper puff. Whoa.
Okay.
Might be kicking that
Just pour the thing.
Ready?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, that's not bad.
Well, this is worse. This is less than the other one.
I feel like it's gonna kick in like 20
No
seconds
way.
and I'm not gonna feel it.
I thought that was a spicy.
I was really scared for that.
That was spicy.
That?
Yeah.
I don't feel anything. I basically just licked the spice off and I realized there was no meat on my bite, and then I went in for more. I'm okay with that. Your grandchildren call you Darth Zaida and your Talmudim, and you're beloved in your shul as the Candyman. How have your connections to family tradition and fun shaped the way you approach building relationships and creating a sense of community?
There were years growing up when I could not wait to grow up. But somewhere stopped and said, you can grow old without necessarily growing up. It's not a Peter Pan syndrome. It's more people tend to view stages in life as You go from your childhood to your adolescence, you're a young man, you're this man, and at all points in time, you have to leave it all away. You put it all away. It doesn't have to be that way. You should always try to build a foundation and always draw on the best of each stage. So having fun and enjoying ideas, it's being able to grow into a different stage and assuming new responsibilities and new challenges, the two don't contradict in my mind. So I don't see why all of a sudden you now become 30, you have to be, I am Mr. Serious, and I cannot crack a smile in school, and God forbid my students should ever actually enjoy anything that's going on in the classroom. If you don't remember what it was like to be 15 or 18 or 10 or whatever grade you're teaching, then you won't be able to connect to them. I don't see, and similarly, the fact that I will sit and work through a sefer on a Friday night doesn't mean I can't take my grandson on my shoulders and go riding around like a donkey the next morning. That's perfectly, and this to me, I don't see it as a contradiction. I don't see it as a something that is in any way against tradition. I would say this is the healthiest way to approach life. I'll finish with a great story, okay, on this question. It comes from Rabbi Shlomo Fisher, Koren Tanakh, used to visit every Shabbat at the, not every Shabbat, but once a month at the kollel where I was learning in my first came to Israel. And one Sudash Shlishi was our turn to host this great rabbi, really great rabbi, kind of, the full kapata, big hat, white beard. And my wife worked very hard to make a nice meal. The wife, the Rebbetzin. We had 3 children at the time. Michaya was 3 months old, just newborn. Mordechai and Shabtai were 3 and 2 running around. They weren't going to sit down and, no rabbi's going to get in the way of their fun. I started asking them a question. I'm eating. We don't talk while we eat. That's a halacha. We talk between courses. He's eating. We're eating. And I'm enjoying the food. And I don't realize that on the bookcase right behind the rabbi, Mordechai has jumped up to climbed up to the top of the bookcase. And all of a sudden, Cowabunga jumps on this 70-year-old, I don't know what man on the shoulders, like, got him! And he's like so happy. And if you've ever seen your Olam Haba pass before your eyes, that was the moment, okay? Put him down, and he goes, well, it's exactly what the Medrash says. Little boys are like mountain goats. They jump from place to place to place with such energy, and little babies are like kittens. You just look at them and say, they're so cute. And then he looks at me with this little twinkle in his eye, and he goes, and you're a young married man. What the Medrash compared you to? A donkey who has just had a yoke placed on his neck and is looking around trying to figure out how to get this thing off. How did I end up here? Where, anybody who's newly married or Rav Shimson's even smiling, like all of a sudden that feeling of I was a free man and all of a sudden like what happened to me, right? So I took that in the spirit and so I smiled at him and said, Ubi chvoda Rav, what does the Medrash compare you to? And without a blink he said, monkeys. I said, B'chvoda Rav, how are you a monkey? Okay? And he said, he brought a kutzka, which is absolutely brilliant. What is a monkey's defining characteristic? Do you ever remember the book Caps for Sale?
Oh, I love that.
The Caps for Sale with the monkey.
Caps for sale.
And the monkeys come and steal all the peddlers' caps, and they're up in the tree. And then the peddlers start stamping, give me those back, and the monkeys start going like this, and then they start stamping their feet, and right? And then finally the peddler throws his cap down, and all the monkeys throw their hats down. Because monkeys imitate. And his definition of old age, when you start imitating yourself, you're just doing things because that's what you always did, that's when you've gotten old. And I thought about that and said, wow, that's a great definition. Great definition. That's what it means to get old, when you're just doing things because that's what you always did.
Wow.
So I said to him, do you really feel old? He goes, oh, not with Torah study. There's always new stuff to learn. And then he stopped, he goes, but the truth is I probably haven't really said a new tefillah for 15 years.
Wow.
I think I'm just imitating myself in tefillah.
Wow.
I'm going through the motions. And I'm thinking to myself, this is, Rav Shlomo Fisher, the Beit Yishai, you ask Rav Citron about him, that's what he's feeling.
Wow.
What is mine feeling like? It was actually almost disheartening. But that's what, you want, if you can keep the sense of youth for 120 years, why not? The Medrash says, Vayelech Moshe, Moshe on his last day, he's walking because Moshe doesn't go out infirm, and feeble and, just unable to function. He's just who he is. He's kept all those youthful qualities throughout his life. And that's how he goes out. So that's the goal.
Wow. Onward.
Next sauce.
Read that one.
Scorpion pepper.
Sounds good.
We got a warning because this is our first warning. Extreme hot.
Extreme hot.
Okay, well, this I'm very excited for. Not really, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
My heart is beating.
Okay, let's see.
Ready? Cheers.
Oh.
Oh,
He's still
right. He's
prepping.
gotta show us something. He's gotta
Wait,
show us
wait,
something.
wait.
Oh yeah.
It's that looking nice.
Mm.
No, nothing to say.
Nothing?
I don't know about that.
Nothing at all.
Wonderful.
Okay. I saw the glass of the water. I saw.
Look at the water, because I know I do want a glass of water, but this is.
Here, grab.
But it's actually staying on my tongue though longer. I find this is staying on the
I
tongue.
can feel. I'm gonna feel in 30 seconds. Slowly increasing.
Just like what my boys do every maror. You know, like I've gotten to the point that Ramosha said that the ideal maror is Glazer, because it's first in the list. So you take romaine lettuce. But my boys are like, I'll have, 3 bars of horseradish and There's also a cumulative effect here that has to be.
Actually, I feel like. Wait, give me a second. I feel like. I don't know. I thought I was gonna do better this time. But
I'm trying to control my anger.
I need. Give me a second. No, there's not. Nothing's happened. There's no big developments.
It's just
Full sentence, noun, verb, direct object. You can do it, Michael.
Okay, I'm gonna get this question out clean. All right. Whether it's winning a championship as a goaltender or creatively booby-trapping a friend's locker, competition has been a theme in your life. How has your competitive spirit influenced your teaching style and your ability to connect with students?
I'm surprised my wife didn't spill the beans on my tennis matches with my brother.
By the way, for everyone watching, the questions were researched with family members.
Yes.
We got some good questions. Hopefully it's hitting hard like this guy's is.
So my wife, the first time we went out, my brother and I went out at 8 o'clock in the morning for a tennis match. And my wife was like waiting at home. And she's like, where are they? My mother's like, don't worry, they'll come back. 11:45, we come back. 5 sets, like 9-7, 23-21, 16-14,
Yeah.
all the way through. So I grew up in a family with several, oldest of 5 boys, but each one five boys and girls, but everything somehow in our family became a game, all right? Who could eat the most latkes it wasn't sitting? Who could, everybody found a way to undo, like, you do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. My wife wasn't used to this, and then she raised 5 boys, and she saw their sense of competition, like, go up. How does it influence teaching? It gave me a sense of, on one hand, competition is not always a good thing, because you're always looking over you don't get to be happy with yourself.
Right.
He's doing this, he's doing this. So at some point in time, you'll hear brothers and say, this guy became registered, very highly regarded urologist. This guy's a biochemist, with a PhD, and I've got my degree. And so we're not doing the same track anymore, so you can take pride in each other's things. So competition is not good. But competition also gave me a sense of, you don't stop here. You got to keep going forward. And I always put myself, the best thing about being alone food, in my opinion, is I live in a neighborhood where there are dozens, if not 100 other people who know Tanakh better than I do.
Careful with the eye.
You got to be very careful with the eye now. There's got to be Rav Yoni Grossman. Okay, you have my building, Yossi Elit Sur. You have Yoel Ben Nun, Rav Yaakov Beasley. You have Michael Hatton. You have Yael Ziegler. You have Shani Targin. You have all these great Tanakh teachers. And I'm sorry if I've insulted anybody leaving them out of the Tarsus. No, Menachem Liebtag lives across the street. So I'm looking at, I know, and I've become a better Tanakh teacher because I'm forcing myself to always compare to everybody else. Now it's starting to hit. 1 second.
I'm okay.
It's burning my lips.
Yeah. All right.
Just for context, the Rav lives in On Street, right? I think you said on Street, but
Across the street
right
from
across the street.
Hartzion, yeah.
Hartzion and Bishop Shiva.
Right across the street. So I do, and I, I've done some work for them. Magid and Hartzion are connected, and I wrote a partial series to them, and go regularly to their Tanakh, lectures, and have a degree in Tanakh from Herzog. So all these things together, but the sense of competition means you don't stop growing. You keep going forward. You keep trying to do it. And I find in a classroom, sometimes pushing guys to you don't just have to sit and passively learn. You can actually argue something out. You can actually, what do you think? And what do you think? And what do you think? And push people to break their standards and their molds. That is actually, and when you see that happen, you see people come up with ideas that, I learned from everybody says, hello, for more from my students. You see them coming up with new ideas and forcing you to reevaluate your own ideas. That's the best feeling. So that's where the competition comes from. So that's what I find positive and constantly. Sometimes I wouldn't do it for every aspect of life, but in this aspect, looking in the mirror, am I happy where I am? No, because that means I've stopped, I've stagnated. I don't want to do that. I want to keep going and becoming better, but I also want to pass that on to my students.
Right.
Well, in light of speaking of competition, I think that brings us to the next on the list of sauces.
Yes, I'm very excited for the first 4 drop sauce here. Back to the Amazon branded sauce. Ghost pepper.
I've heard about this one.
Do it on it.
So the Sankers were the really only Jewish family within 2.3 miles from where we lived. 2-3 miles, because that was exactly the distance between myself and my Rabbi and Zaida, who bought a house in this. And this is important for us because the Sankers were from India, which meant that the only other Jewish family was serving spicy food every Friday night. So, well, the trick actually that they had was you take tomato slices.
Tomato slices.
You eat a tomato slice, and the effect of the tomato slice, they would eat tomato slices with every meal they had, and they just put it in their mouth to cool off their mouth.
Interesting.
Okay. Thanks. Next time.
Which I remember when my wife came for the first time, she was so excited to me to, she never had Indian food. Now, my wife has a different story because my wife, her father had an ulcer growing up. So they had no spices whatsoever.
Oh my.
Okay? Which meant that we had a bit of our first year of marriage, we were making 2 separate dishes for Shabbos because she would have very plain food. I would have, first time I ever ate there, they served lentil soup. And I asked, do you have pepper? And I got told they don't carry exotic spices in the house.
I'm really not excited for this.
I'm not either, and I'm still marinating it. I don't know why.
I am so happy.
Rob,
I have to ask the question.
You can't say that.
You were tearing up a little bit. Go back.
Good tears. Good tears, yes.
Okay, we're going.
All right. Oh my. That borderline didn't taste good.
Yeah, wait a second. That wasn't that bad.
Oh, it's just wet.
Deep breath.
No, that
Also,
also.
That wasn't bad.
I think this is actually like this.
Yeah?
I think so.
Maybe there's a switch that needs to be made.
Yeah, maybe. Or it could be it'll just take like 30 seconds. Then. All right.
So I teach a very rough group of kids at times in the high school when I teach during the day. Mm-hmm. My second year, had a group of Yemenites, a gang of Yemenite kids sitting in the back, and they would not pay attention, and they would talk, and they would, and at lunch they would sit, and like lunch they'd sit in the back with their pizzas, dipping in red and green skug. For those of you who don't know what skug is, it's a very, very hot Yemenite kick.
Yes.
And I said one day I have to put them in their place. So this is a move I learned actually from Encyclopedia Brown.
I love that series.
Very cool.
I should not have just tried the sauce straight up.
And
well, it's definitely spicy. I feel like it's definitely. You can't say it's not spicy.
no, it's a cumulative effect, but it's not as spicy. It's not as burning. It's not like red.
Oh, the last one was really bad.
Yeah.
But this one's like I'm definitely feel. It's definitely. It's hot, right? Am I the only one that thinks it's hot?
No, I just took a dollop and.
So if I would have cheated coming into here, I would have done what I did to them. I went into the teacher's room. I took 3 ice cubes out, put them in my mouth for 10 minutes, and then I walked into the classroom where they were sitting in the back just munching. I said, "Can I try this?" I took a spoon like this, a keeping spoon of skug, and no, don't touch anything. And they were afraid of me for months.
Wow.
Well, I don't understand going for more.
Go for more. Makes my question more fun.
I think the breathing techniques is the key for the.
You know, like in the old cartoons when steam starts the train whistle goes like woo and like
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
No, okay. I'm coming down again. I was like,
It's not fun. It's not fun. I don't understand why this is.
this is fun. This
For
is
the
great.
record, I'll just say I requested specifically if I was going to interview anyone, it would be you, because I knew just the back and forth would be fantastic. All right, so on to the next question. From programs like MTV, Mishna Teaching videos, to Torah and Tefillin in Stanford, you found creative ways to engage students with Torah. What inspires this approach, and what has been one of your most memorable moments bringing Torah to the life in the classroom. That was hard to get.
What inspired it was a Gemara in Eruvin. Gemara in Eruvin and Daled, Rabbi Preda would teach a student 400 times until he got it right, And this one time when Rabbi Preda seemed to be going early, he's going through class, it's fast through the class, and he was like, and the student didn't quite get it. He says, "You didn't get it. I just taught it to you 400 times." He goes, "Yeah, but I could see you were ready to leave. I wasn't sure if you're going to stay." He goes, and he taught him again 400 times.
Wow.
It's an incredible Gemara in of itself. It talks about the importance.
Why are you laughing?
What is correct?
Please keep going.
Drakaris.
This is what SorryFor probably felt like.
And I always thought about that Gemara, like, it shows the dedication and consistency. I'm not going to give up 400 times, 400 times. And I remember seeing there one time, just hit me. Did he do the same thing 400 times in a row? Isn't that Einstein's definition of insanity? Doing this, repeating the same procedure and expecting to get a different result. And I said to myself, maybe Reverend Preda should not be admired for his persistence alone, but also his ingenuity, his creativity. What else? What other ways can you do it? How else can you teach things? So in an ideal world, in an ideal class, I do very little talking. Honestly, in an ideal world, I give people text to read. What do you think of this? Read this out. Come back.
Wait,
then
on record, you're saying on an ideal class you talk a minimal amount?
In an ideal class.
Our class is not there yet.
Our class, the truth is, the class is being built along. You guys keep asking questions like, what are the laws about, marrying conjoined Siamese twins, or is yichud with transgender people, acceptable, and what is the din of lab-grown meat? So it's not something that I can immediately.
It's very amazing.
It's
plug for the class. It's a great class. Second period halacha class. It's amazing.
It's halacha, it's hashkafa, it's dealing with serious issues. I'm trying to present these ideas to the best of my ability, and I feel like I think halacha at times, sometimes scrambling to figure out what's going on, and that's okay. Also, an ideal class, you break the mold so that students are actively learning, though. That is rule number one. And you're actively involved with them. My favorite moment was in Lev HaTorah. If I had to have the first one, we were teaching Migdal Bavel. Mm-hmm. And I said, what would make this class a lot more understandable? And I stood up on the table in the back room. It was just one long table. I just walked up and down the table teaching Migdal Bavel. Okay? Because to appreciate the idea that from up here you look down at people and they become smaller. Okay? And if you're sitting at this eye level, you're not conveying it. And so I started standing up over people like this, stand up on the table and get up. And of course, Rav Boaz walks in, which he always does at my most exciting moments. And I look down at him too. So, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I go, "Migdal Bavel." Now, Rav Boaz knows me from YU. He's actually an Eid Kedushin, so he yeah, he hasn't changed. All right, he just walked out. Whatever. Okay, if it's working, we go with it. That was fun. But the most fun I've had, I once gave the kids an assignment: make a CNN broadcast. This was in high school. Make a CNN broadcast of Tanach story. And one kid, had lit this bonfire behind him, okay, and got his parents dressed up holding protest signs as his sister was throwing things into the fire. We're here at Yoshiao's idol burning party, okay. We can see the crowd's reaction is quite angry, but this is fun. This is just make it relevant, make it interesting, get people involved as opposed to just sitting and reading. Now you do have to sit and read a lot, and that's what I love about Shabbat at my house. Is seeing guys just sprawled out on the couch. He's got the Starblight Archive, and he's got the Avatar, comics, and he's reading, Ram Melamed, and he's, this guy's going through part, and everybody's just sitting and reading, because you have to take time to sit and read. Because I don't want to say this in place of the fundamental skill of acquiring knowledge, okay, the baseline knowledge, but then how do you make it part of yourself? How do you get people involved? That's really the next step, and that's where you have to go from there. Don't even on the camera.
This is also extreme hot.
I don't promise this.
But it's Carolina Reaper.
This one, just go for it. Just go for it. I'm not going to say anything.
This one. Okay.
I stopped breathing. It just.
Yeah, it does hurt when you stop breathing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So for this one,
you're going.
You just have to.
The last.
It's nerve for nothing. It's Nach or nothing. Or nothing. That's a good. You should coin that.
You got it. You take it.
My brain is very foggy right now, by the way.
I'm really not excited. It just smells really, really, really spicy. It smells like it's gonna hurt.
If this doesn't do it, I don't know what's gonna do it for him. I think like, oh my
Bro.
god.
Knock or nothing, buddy. Knock or nothing. Let's go.
I will also just my own shameless plug. For those of you that will attend Lev HaTorah in the future, you have to spend a Shabbos with Rabbi Beasley. It's an otherworldly experience. I can't think beyond that because my brain is numb. Anyways, shall we? Okay.
Let's go. Okay. So the Sankars were the only other Jewish family, and this is where I learned how to eat spicy food.
Oh Lord.
Here's for you, Auntie Esther. All right. Ready?
I'm going.
Okay, we're going for it.
It doesn't even taste good. It doesn't taste good at all. It just hurts. It just hurts.
I'm getting out of the question right now. What are you doing?
It just hurts.
How's that?
It just hurts.
It's not funny.
Have you ever poured a pitcher before?
It didn't taste good. That's what I was gonna say. It just doesn't taste good. It just hurts.
Now I've got the hiccups.
Ask the question. What did you answer?
It's really not good. It's really not good.
It's like Joker toxin.
The water is so bad, the water did not help. When are you gonna eat? Do I look really?
I'm probably going red now too.
It's so bad. It's not funny.
It's not funny. Why are you laughing? You can't laugh. You're not even doing it. Okay. I'm really. I really can't. I don't know. It's really, really. Ow! It does not feel good.
In the immortal words of Smog, I am fire. I am death.
You go.
Winning a chidon Tanach against Reverend Waller while avoiding a chillul Hashem, it must have been a nerve-wracking and rewarding moment. What did you take away from that experience, and how do you view the intersection of Torah study and interfaith dialogue?
All right, so for some background to this story. One of my former students, Rav Naftali, now Rav Naftali Weiss, Nafi back then, was across the street. He needs water.
No.
Take my water.
He started a project called the Tanach Be'eretz Yisrael, in which every chapter of Tanach has a specific chidush for its connection to the land of Israel. And he asked me to do the commentary to Nevi'im Achronim, so I did a commentary to the 205 chapters of Nevi'im Achronim. Each chapter went through it with its connection to Eretz Yisrael.
Just a commentary for every single video.
One line, a couple lines for each chapter. Wasn't meant to be on every single line, okay? He had a book launch in Jerusalem, and he brought some of the writers. There are 15 Jews. And a friend of his, Tommy Waller, who I've actually met previously through other interfaith encounters. I wouldn't say interfaith encounters. These are Christians who have rejected replacement theology, who think there's a place, these are the Zionist Christians who very passionate. Tommy Waller brings a group of people every year to Har Bracha to help them farm the land and help them bless the land of Israel through their efforts and labors.
Yeah.
I'll pretend you're paying attention.
I am paying attention. That's
Okay.
amazing.
And he brought 200 people, including a man named Michael Redd, with this group. For those who don't know Michael Redd, starting point guard for the Milwaukee Bucks about 15 years ago, for many years. Good. And decided, well, we're having our book launch for the Tanakh.
Well, what is wrong with you? I don't understand what's happening.
Keep talking.
And he says, let's have a chidon and Tanakh. Let's actually have a So they brought the Reverend up and myself up. At this point, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I lose the Tanakh competition to Reverend Waller, it would be a chillul Hashem. This wouldn't be good.
Very much.
So he asked the question, where do we find two sticks in Tanakh? Ezekiel chapter 37, I think it's verse 18. The stick with Judah and the stick with Ephraim. Okay?
Wow.
And yeah, that's right. And they started asking questions. And after 5 questions, where, as I jokingly say, they asked the right questions. Wasn't me knowing the answers, the right answers, they just asked the right questions. Reverend Waller says, well, I'm just impressed. This is incredible. Tell me, how do you know Bible so well? I go, listen, Bible's actually easy. It's your fault that you made it twice as long. Okay? And he laughed, and it was a lot of fun. To ask about interfaith dialogue, I have a strong hesitation towards interfaith dialogue per se. Meaning, if the goal, because what happens is people try to stop being who they are to try to find common ground with other people. There's a sense of, I am who I am, and you are who you are. You know, the consequence is, if I am I because you are you, then I'm not I, and you are not you. But if we're ever going to use Rav Sachs' phrase, heal this fractured world, we have to create an option in which believers can talk to believers. Having people who don't believe in Judaism, who don't believe in Christianity, become friends is that's a niche done ganz. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. I believe in this, and I believe in that, and I will respect you enough. I won't try to convert you, and you won't try to convert me. But there's something shared that the Bible was meant for everybody. Although we mourn its translation, that it lost a specialist, but it historically has been a force for good in the world. I do believe that. It's been mistranslated, misused, misquoted, etc., etc. And even the Bible can find source in Scripture. But the Bible is going to be the ultimate, I think, basis upon which we'll be able to rebuild this world together. Okay, these are the fundamental values that bind us as humanity. And my being a Jew is only an outgrowth of my being human. As opposed to being a different idea entirely. And so that's where I hold on this. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you have any more questions? Are you capable of asking any more questions?
Nope.
I think,
In that case.
oh my.
You have this on camera, right?
Only twice, shame on me again. We'll be through a lot of wigs and hot ones. Thank you all for coming. Shame on me.
That's not normal.
It's not normal. He freaked out for a little bit. Let the record show. I lost feeling. I couldn't actually feel the tears streaming down my forehead, face. But it's okay. My voice is not normally this high pitched, and there was a solid minute where I didn't swallow, and I had to lean back and talk like this so I wouldn't drool over myself.
This was hot. This was hot. As you said, it's hot to the point where it loses any ability.
It did not have a good taste.
You're on fire now. You don't actually get a good flavor. This is a lot of fun. Thank you to Rav Shimshon for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you, Yaakov Beasley,
joining us.
I'm not shaking your hand because I'm afraid
Just
Yeah, well. All right.
So Ashkenaz,
when Dumbledore.
Yeah.
This.
thank you,
Okay.
Yaakov Beasley, for coming and joining us. We appreciate
Full sentence. You can do it.
we appreciate your contributions to the Yeshiva and your contributions to Lev HaTorah Hot Wings. And I thought it was an amazing interview, and I'd love to talk to you more sometime after the spice goes away and I'm not dying.
Sounds like a plan.
After this.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to run in a second. Thank you so much. Really an honor.
All right.
Like I said, I wanted to have this meeting with you.
Okay.
We will shake hands. We'll wash our hands out.
Let's go wash our hands. All the best.